If you've ever been confused by why women test men, now you know. It's not about control, it's about connection. Every test is a chance to show calm, confidence, and strength without saying a word. So next time, don't react, respond. Because when you understand her psychology, you stop playing games and start winning respect. If this message opened your eyes, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this truth, and subscribe for more deep insights on attraction, confidence, and masculine growth. Remember, real power isn't in chasing validation. It's in becoming the man who doesn't need it. Women test men not because they want to play games, but because they want to see the truth behind the mask a man wears. Every man can act confident when things are easy, when there's no pressure or challenge. But real confidence, the kind that draws women in, shows itself when things get uncomfortable. That's when a woman subconsciously tests you to see whether your calm energy is real or just an act you put on to impress her. Women are emotional beings who rely on intuition more than logic when it comes to relationships. They feel energy before they understand it, and that's why they're so good at sensing insecurity. When a man tries too hard to prove himself, over-explains, or becomes defensive, she can feel that his confidence is fragile. But when a man stands firm in his frame, responds with calmness, and doesn't get shaken by her mood or words, she feels something rare. She feels grounded and safe in his presence. A woman's test can come in many forms. It could be a teasing remark, a sudden withdrawal of attention, or even a question that challenges your confidence. Maybe she'll question your intentions or see how you react when she disagrees with you. These moments are not attacks. They're invitations for you to reveal your true self, because deep down, she's not looking for perfection, she's looking for consistency. She wants to know that the man she's drawn to isn't just confident in good times, but also composed when things get tough. That's what makes a man stand out. Real confidence isn't loud or boastful. It's quiet, steady, and doesn't need external validation to feel whole. When you understand this, you stop taking her tests personally. You start to see them as part of human nature. A confident man doesn't argue or defend himself when a woman questions him. He doesn't get angry or needy. Instead, he smiles, keeps his composure, and lets his energy do the talking. Because confidence is not about what you say. It's about what you don't need to say. When you are secure in who you are, you don't chase approval. You don't seek to convince her of your worth. You simply embody it. And that energy is powerful. Women can't resist it because it signals strength, maturity, and emotional control. Most men fail these tests not because they're weak, but because they misunderstand them. They think they're being challenged out of disrespect, when in reality they're being given a chance to prove emotional depth. A woman can sense if a man's self-belief is surface level or deeply rooted. The more grounded a man is, the more effortlessly he passes those tests. So instead of reacting, take it as feedback. Her test is not a trap, it's a mirror reflecting how secure you truly are. When you master the art of staying calm, you don't just pass her test, you rise above it. And that's when a woman feels something far deeper than attraction. She feels trust. At the heart of every woman's test lies a deep, instinctive search for emotional safety. Women are wired to seek connection with a man who can make them feel secure, not just in the physical sense, but in an emotional and psychological way. When a woman tests a man, it's rarely a conscious act of manipulation. Instead, it's her subconscious trying to answer one powerful question. Can I trust this man with my emotions? Can I be vulnerable around him without being hurt? This is why so many women test through emotion. They might question your confidence, your patience, or your intentions, not because they want to play games, but because they want to feel safe with you. You see, women live in a world that is constantly evaluating emotional energy. They sense changes in tone, body language, and attitude faster than most men realize. When she pushes a little, when she challenges you, disagrees with you, or acts distant, she's observing how you handle that moment. Do you stay composed and kind, or do you get defensive and irritated? Your reaction tells her more about your emotional strength than your words ever could. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for steadiness. Emotional steadiness creates the feeling of safety she craves. When you remain calm under emotional pressure, it tells her you're dependable. It shows that you won't lose control when life gets chaotic, that you can handle her emotions without becoming overwhelmed yourself. Think about it. When a woman feels safe, she opens up. She softens. She becomes more feminine, more expressive, more loving. But that softness can only exist when she trusts that the man beside her won't collapse under the weight of her feelings. When she tests you, she's asking, "Can you hold space for me when I'm emotional, confused, or scared?" If you respond with reassurance, calmness, or humor, she feels at peace. But if you respond with anger, neediness, or frustration, she instinctively pulls away because that energy signals instability. It tells her she can't fully relax around you. That's why women test even good men, not because they want to catch them off guard, but because they want to feel certainty in who they're with. A man who passes those tests consistently becomes her emotional anchor. He doesn't need to fix her feelings or control the situation. His calm presence alone is enough to steady the moment. When you provide that kind of safety, she naturally trusts you more, respects you more, and invests emotionally. She doesn't need constant reassurance because your actions and demeanor already provide it. In the end, every woman's test is really a test of safety, not control, not power. When you understand that, you stop fighting her emotions and start embracing them as opportunities to prove reliability. Because to a woman, real attraction isn't about how good you look or what you say. It's about how safe she feels when she's with you. Emotional pressure is one of the most revealing forces in any relationship. It strips away appearances and exposes a person's true nature. When a woman tests a man, she often creates or highlights moments of tension, not to create conflict, but to see how he handles emotional friction. These are the moments that show her who he truly is beneath the confidence, the charm, and the words. Anyone can act calm and confident when life is easy, but character is proven in discomfort. A woman instinctively understands this. That's why she observes how you respond when things don't go your way, when she disagrees, or when she pulls back emotionally. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for emotional strength. When you face emotional pressure like a disagreement, criticism, or emotional distance, your behavior tells her more about your maturity than anything you could say. If you lose control, become defensive, or try to manipulate the situation to get your way, she instantly feels unsafe. That reaction signals that your confidence is dependent on her approval, which means it's fragile. But if you remain calm, listen, and respond with patience instead of panic, she senses something powerful: grounded masculinity. It's not about being emotionless, it's about having emotional control. The ability to stay composed even when things get tense tells her that you can handle real life, not just the easy moments. Many men mistake a woman's emotional tests for disrespect or drama. In reality, those moments are emotional truth tests. They reveal whether a man's strength is authentic or just an image he's projecting. A woman might raise her tone, challenge your opinion, or test your consistency to see how you respond. If your reaction is stable, if you don't mirror her emotion or crumble under pressure, she feels that you're someone she can rely on. This kind of composure builds trust. It shows her that when life throws challenges your way, whether emotional, financial, or personal. You won't collapse or blame her. You'll stand firm and handle things like a man who knows himself. Emotional pressure also reveals your ability to stay logical in emotional situations. When you meet her emotional storm with calm clarity, it doesn't just earn respect, it creates attraction. Women are drawn to emotional stability because it balances their own emotional energy. When she's upset and you remain steady, it helps regulate the emotional space between you. That's why the men who stay composed during conflict are often the ones women trust the most. So when a woman tests you through emotional pressure, don't fight it or take it personally. See it for what it really is, an opportunity to prove strength without words. Your calmness under tension is your loudest message. It tells her, you can be emotional and I won't break. And that's the kind of emotional power that doesn't just attract women. It earns their deep, lasting respect. There is a big difference between reacting and responding, and that difference is what separates boys from men in relationships. When a woman tests a man, she is not only observing his words, but his emotional rhythm. A man who reacts impulsively shows that he is being controlled by his emotions. He lets her words or behavior dictate his state of mind. But a man who responds with calm, measured composure shows something rare. He demonstrates control, patience, and self-awareness. Women are naturally drawn to that kind of masculine energy because it radiates strength without aggression. It tells her that you are not easily swayed by emotions or chaos, that you can stand your ground and still maintain peace. When a woman says something challenging or behaves unpredictably, it's easy for a man to take it personally. Maybe she questions his decisions, criticizes something small, or pulls away for no obvious reason. The reactive man will try to chase, argue, or explain himself endlessly. He seeks reassurance to calm his ego, which only makes her lose respect. Why? Because his reaction shows dependency on her approval. The responsive man, on the other hand, doesn't panic. He observes, listens, and acts with intention instead of emotion. He doesn't need to control her feelings or force clarity right away. He trusts himself enough to give space, to remain grounded, and to respond when necessary. That emotional maturity communicates that his confidence doesn't come from her. It comes from within. When women test men, they're not looking for dominance or silence. They're looking for stability. They want to know that when emotions run high, you won't get swept away by the storm. Your tone, your body language, and your ability to stay centered all send powerful signals. When you react with anger, you create emotional instability. But when you respond calmly, you project security. That balance between strength and composure is what defines masculine presence. Women feel emotionally safe around a man who can stay calm under pressure because it means he can protect the peace of the relationship. Every emotional test you face is really a mirror showing how much self-control you have developed. The difference between reaction and response is the space between impulse and action. The man who learns to pause, to breathe, and to think before speaking becomes powerful. Not because he suppresses emotion, but because he channels it wisely. Responding doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means understanding that emotions are temporary, and truth reveals itself when the chaos settles. So the next time a woman tests you with words or actions that trigger you, don't let your emotions hijack your behavior. Stay still, grounded, and intentional. When you master the art of responding instead of reacting, you show that you're emotionally in control. That control doesn't just earn her respect, it makes her feel deeply safe, because she knows that no matter what happens, you won't lose yourself. You'll remain her anchor in the storm. Many men see a woman's tests as unnecessary drama, as if she's trying to create problems for no reason. But the truth is, when a woman tests you, she's not trying to destroy the connection. She's trying to strengthen it. Her tests are like checkpoints that measure emotional trust and consistency. If you handle them with composure, she feels reassured that you're the kind of man she can truly open up to. When handled correctly, her tests become opportunities to build respect, deepen attraction, and create emotional intimacy that lasts. What most men misunderstand is that a woman doesn't test because she's against you. She tests because she's invested in you. She wants to see if you're capable of handling her emotional world, because that's what real connection demands. Think of it like this. A woman's emotions are like waves, sometimes calm, sometimes intense. When she feels emotionally uncertain, she sends out small tests, subtle changes in tone, attitude, or behavior to feel out your stability. She might question something you said, withdraw her attention, or make a sarcastic remark. Most men interpret this as disrespect, and they respond with defensiveness or irritation. But what she's really trying to see is whether your emotional foundation is solid. When you stay calm and confident, it tells her that her emotions can rise and fall without shaking your stability. And when a woman realizes that her emotions don't scare you, she begins to trust you on a deeper level. The beautiful thing about passing these tests is that it changes how a woman feels in your presence. Instead of being guarded or uncertain, she starts to relax. She lets her feminine energy flow more freely because she knows she's safe with you emotionally. This is when attraction deepens into admiration. Women don't fall in love with words or looks alone. They fall for how they feel around you. If she feels safe, seen, and understood, she bonds with you emotionally. That's why every test, when passed with patience and understanding, strengthens their relationship instead of breaking it. It's also important to remember that women test consistency, not perfection. You don't have to handle every situation flawlessly. What matters is that you remain grounded even when you slip up. If you can own your mistakes without losing composure or blaming her, that honesty builds trust faster than anything else. Women respect men who can stay emotionally centered and still lead with kindness. So, instead of fearing her tests, start embracing them. They are not attacks, they are signs that she cares enough to seek emotional depth with you. Each test passed with calmness and confidence adds another layer of security and attraction. Over time, she won't need to test you as often because she'll feel your consistency. And when a woman feels secure in that way, the connection moves from fragile attraction to unbreakable trust. That's when you stop being just another man she's dating and become the man she truly respects and feels safe loving. A man who understands why women test him instantly gains an advantage that most men never reach. Emotional intelligence. When you truly grasp the psychology behind these tests, you stop taking them as insults and start recognizing them as emotional communication. Women don't always express their feelings in direct words. They often express them through energy, tone, or behavior. When she challenges you, it's not to start a fight. It's to see if you're emotionally stable enough to handle her emotional world. And when you understand this, you stop fighting her emotions and start guiding the interaction with calm leadership. That's when a woman's respect for you deepens, because she feels your awareness, not your defensiveness. Most men lose control in these moments because they view her tests as disrespect. They argue, withdraw, or try to prove their worth with words. But a man who truly understands women realizes that her test isn't about control. It's about trust. She's asking silently, can you stay composed when I'm not at my best? Can you love me when I'm emotional or uncertain? If your answer comes through calm energy rather than anxious reaction, she feels something powerful. Emotional safety. And safety is the foundation of respect, attraction, and long-term connection. When you start seeing tests as emotional truth checks rather than manipulation, you approach relationships from strength instead of insecurity. You no longer need to chase validation because you understand that her testing is part of her nature. It's not meant to belittle you, it's meant to uncover who you really are. Once you see this clearly, you become immune to emotional chaos. You no longer take her tone or moods personally because you know they're reflections of emotion, not rejection. That calm awareness turns you into the kind of man women admire. You become predictable in the best way. Not boring, but emotionally reliable. When a man masters this mindset, everything about his relationships changes. Arguments turn into opportunities for understanding. Emotional distance turns into moments of leadership. He no longer feels the need to prove his masculinity because it shows naturally through his actions. Women sense that stability and respond with warmth, softness, and admiration. They don't have to test him constantly because his energy already answers the question, is this man real? And that level of authenticity is magnetic. In the end, a woman's tests are not obstacles to avoid, they are opportunities to evolve. They challenge you to grow into a man who is steady, emotionally intelligent, and in control of his reactions. When you embrace that role, you stop chasing respect and start commanding it naturally. The man who understands women doesn't seek to dominate or impress them. He simply stays grounded in who he is. And that calm, confident energy earns him something far more powerful than attraction. It earns him trust. Once a woman trusts your emotional strength, she no longer questions it. She feels it. And that's when her testing fades, replaced by loyalty, respect, and genuine love.